Yo, it's NJ and welcome to another tutorial. So, holy wow, 176 subscribers now. We've reached *ｔρaنقuiλityy. This video seems to have really popped off. This one right here. And I'm surprised these videos actually managed to get more than like 3 views. These like those 1 hour long ones. Jeez, wow. Thank you guys so much. And guys, keep on going. The big button really does make things go boom. So but anyway, today is a special video of sorts. Today I made a video based on last week's comment from Manga Art TV. And they asked me if I could make a video on how I use Krita, like what brushes I use and shortcuts and all that. So that's what's happening today. So this might be of a really long video. At first I thought it was going to be short, but it's going to be a bit longer than I thought it was going to be. So I hope you can stick around, but this is pretty much me explaining everything I've learned from my course the best way I know how, even though I feel like I fumbled a bit. But yeah, if you guys have any tips for me, please put them in the comments as well. So we're gonna go over to Krita and I'll go over the basics like you just booted up Krita for the first time. Right, so when you start up Krita, you'll be greeted with this screen. So for the purpose of this video, I'll be using a mouse. So if you're clicking the background, that is why. So if you want to start a new file, you click here and you say new file. If you already have an existing one, you can click the open file. But this is in the terms of how I draw, I guess. So this is how I would use Krita. There are other options like animation and comic, but I'll just do a quick brief. This is for like your mangas and webtoons. Usually that's what you do it for. I'd assume so, because there's manga in US style, which is just comics and manga. When it goes down, design would just be your, I guess if you're a graphic designer, like I'm studying, you commonly use these, but you'd more use Adobe Illustrator and all that, but it doesn't matter. So on your custom document, you'll have your landscape and portrait. I mostly draw in portrait because I can just cut it in half, not landscape. It depends what you want to do though. So then here is your predefined, your presets, all your presets from paper pages to video pages if you want to do animation, and pixel art, and I'm not sure what these are for downwards, but all these numbers next to it is your resolution. So I measure mine in pixels. You can also change it to like centimeters, but for the purpose of this, we'll use it by pixels. So you'll have these pixels. So this is like pretty high, I guess, and then here your resolution would also be how clear you want the picture to be. But I'm pretty sure that uses a lot of like memory to just make sure, because this document will be used by so which means that pixel size 34-bit a single pair will take up 132 megabytes or megabits of RAM. I assume it says, it might be. You can also choose what you want your image to be, so I would save this as test, and we can change that later. And over here, your color, you can have like CMYK and all these, but this is like for print. If you just want grayscale, just normal color, just have an RGB, essentially default. Depth, I have no idea, sorry, I can't tell you there, but I think yeah, I'm not even gonna try to figure out what that is. So then now you'd create the document. So then here we go, we've got our document and you can start drawing on it. I'm drawing with my pen now. So there's your document, there's everything. Now we get to brushes. So I have my brush presets on digital, but you can have it on all, which has everything over here, all these brushes, all these pens. I would say, to be fair, I would really say you really need to experiment with these, because I'm still experimenting with some of them since I only use digital. But I'll show you what the textures look like when you zoom in. So some would be like, the lighter you press, the lighter it is, the harder you press, the harder it is. So you'd have like that. It also works with any other colors because it just looks like pink and then red. Now up here would be opacity, so this can also change, but as you can see, I'm pressing at its hardest and it's also light still. So that's opacity, makes it less, it makes it more transparent, if I can say that. You can also change layer opacity here. which also makes it like transparent, I guess. You can draw behind the layer. If you make a new layer at the bottom here, if you press this plus, you can then draw, and it'll be underneath, and as well as you can see that this is overlapping, but it looks like it's grayed out. If you increase the opacity to 100 again, there you go. Okay, so other brushes again do have patterns or textures. So for this brush, it's just like a thin, not really textured. Again, opacity with pressure, another opacity with pressure marker. These are markers. So this one has a nice texture. I use this one mostly in my videos. This one I don't use often, but it's another brush. I don't really like how blurry it looks. This is nice if you just want the same singular line. No matter how hard you press or how light you press, it's always the same. No opacity with pressure, no size of change. Once you get to this row here, this row would be like, I guess, your smudge tools, your blur tools, kind of. This is all smudgy, to be fair. I think this pixelates things. Yeah. But I don't use that. Unless you want to, you can. This one, I think, yeah, this moves stuff. This is like your liquefy, but not really, because it makes it blurry at the end of the day. Other things also have different, well, effects. I assume this one be... Yeah, I wouldn't be able to tell you what this one does at all, because I don't really experiment with these ones. I know this one makes like a light, but I just use the airbrush for that. It achieves the same effect. This, I think, would just be the same thing as the previous one. Same thing as the previous one. Again, you really have to experiment with the bottom ones, because these ones I don't really use. You get to like patterns and stuff, and these change. But if you want to know how I do clouds, is that I use this one, which looks like a potion bottle, and I just make this in any way or shape in how I like it, and then there you go. I also fill up faces with this, so there's a face. There you go. A little stupid face. You can also do something like that. But as you go down, there's some more patterns, obviously, and then like different types of brushes. This is a pixel art brush. So if you zoom in really close with this one, you'll see that it made pixels. So, whoops. There's a little face for you. Flowery, I guess. So now, I'm gonna get into some sort of shortcuts, because these pretty much... this is like halftones. No, it's not halftones, sorry. This is dithering. In pixel art, this is what we call dithering. But that's if you want to do pixel art. There are other brushes again as well. I think this is also pixel. Oh, this is also pixels. This is for thick. Okay, cool. That's pretty cool. So you can make pixel art in here. Would I make it one day? Probably. This, I have no idea what this does. Oh, it copies. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so that copies. I did not know that. The more you know. That's pretty cool. So wait, can I just copy a face there? I can. That's so silly. Okay, anyway. Enough horsing around. There's also these cool pens that do this thing where you intersect with each other and it makes like weird crosses in between. I have no idea what you could use that for, but I am going to guess that if I wanted to make, like, for example, a web, then I would be like that. There you go. That's a weird looking web, but there's a web. The same with this one, but it's like a different color one. This looks pretty cool. But there you go. And then this is your quill. So there you go. Those are all the brushes I use. You can also explore with all the other brushes. These are your erasers. By the way, they are physical erasers that you can choose, or if you press E on your keyboard, you get your eraser, which pops up here. You can also click. If you press E, you can also have an eraser, but you have to make sure you click it again, and then there, things get erased. This can work with any brush, even the eraser, which is strange, but the eraser already erases, so it doesn't really make a difference. This is also like a pudgy eraser. It's weird. You can use this to like erase very soft edges if you don't really hard erase. So there we go. That's really soft as compared to this, which is just going to be harsh. But I would just use airbrush if I really want something soft, like that. There you go. I just use airbrush and I click the erase button. On my pen, my frontmost button going downwards to the tip is my erase button, so I would click that to erase. And at the very top would be spacebar. So what spacebar does is it allows you to move around your canvas. So there you go. That's what spacebar does. To zoom out of your canvas, I just have to make sure now, because if I'm not mistaken, it's like Control minus, yes, Control minus and Control plus are your zoom out and zoom in. I have these bound to buttons on my pen when I draw, my tablet when I draw, that would do that. But you can also go to the bottom over here where you can drag it, but I doubt you'll be doing that. If you do want to, you can. You can also, if these controls are a bit weird for you, let me just finish all these basic controls first. I'll tell you about shortcuts. Because now, you go to your pen, you press B for brush, not P. P would be, it's strange, it's your eyedropper tool. But you can also press B and press and hold Control to have your eyedropper tool. You can press any left or right control and it does the same thing. Now, for your line tool, you'd press here and right next to your brush and you can start drawing lines. So then there you go. There are lines. They also come with rectangles and circles. And I guess, you know, I forgot the name for this, but there you go. You can make any shape you want, so it doesn't have to be limited to what you are only seeing. There you go. This also does somewhat of the same thing. This now, I guess, would be like in Adobe Illustrator, a curvature tool. Yeah. So you'd click and drag this. This is very interesting. This is your curvature tool. I wouldn't use this unless I'm doing graphic design in Krita. But you can also do this to make like really curved or specific things you want. Like if you want a really strong curve, there you go. And you can click it again, or you could just, you know, click to, if you want it to straight, you just, yeah, you click to the next area if you want it to be straight, after obviously you've curved it. And I guess I closed it off. Now this one, I think you can just make shapes with this. If I make makes it kind of more cleaner, so you can draw anything with this. This is just your any draw tool, which is pretty cool. That one I'm not sure what it does. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not sure what that one does. This draws on all sides of your canvas, so drawing green and a bigger brush. There you go. Now, a nice thing that I did. This will not be the same as Krita. Down, clicking the arrow key down flips my canvas, which will not be the same for you. Which is where we get to the fun stuff now, because we've pretty much used most of the tools here. I do want to say though, G would be your gradient, but pressing G again doesn't do anything else, so I just click my paint bucket manually. But you can check here, if you hover long enough, it's F. F would be your paint bucket, G would be gradient. So paint bucket obviously fills your entire canvas like so. So now my canvas is going to be blue. Which is pretty ugly, so I'm going to undo. Undo is Control Z on your keyboard. Redo, if I'm not mistaken, is Control Y. No, because I made shortcuts for these things. Is it Shift Control Y? What the heck is even that? what would be redo? Holy. Okay, so like I was saying, Control Z would be your undo, whereas Shift Control Z would be redo. So we're just gonna undo for the sake of this. My colors did change because I did mess around. I forgot some things are different with other programs. With Krita, Shift Control Z is redo, Control Z is undo. Now, Control S would be to save your project, so you can save it anywhere. And then you could like click also here at the top to save. Otherwise, as we get down, there's also this tool, which I don't really use, but okay, layers locked, which I assume, yeah, don't know what that, I couldn't tell what that does, I'm sorry. I don't use any of this. This is for if you drag a picture onto your canvas. Let me get a picture for explanation's sake. Here we go, we'll get a picture of mouse, and we drag it here. You can insert as a new layer and it'll go down here. You can set it as a reference image and it'll go down here. I mean over here. You can say open a new document and it'll open a new page at the top here. We can switch between this and another one. You can also say open insert as new file layer, which will open as in a file. I'll show you how to make files now. But for the sake of this, I'll say insert as a reference image so I can show you what the pin does. This now allows you to size up an image and use it as a reference, but it does not act as a layer, so you can't draw over if that's what you want to do. But there you go. And if you do want to remove it, I mean, I guess you can just Control X delete stuff, but I'm going to Control Z. To move it again, you click the pin and then you click this, and then there you go. Now to move specific things, I would use these here. These are your marquee tools. So this is your rectangular marquee tool or square marquee tool, and if you press M, that's mirroring, sorry, different program, sorry. If you click that, the hand tool, which is to move to your canvas around, brother, I'm confused, sorry. If you move this, that's M on program, Adobe programs. That allows you to move all these specific things around. I apologize. And then if you press this allows you to move things as well as size them or change their size. If you want to scale something up, make sure to press and hold Shift and click the corners. That scales it up perfectly and keeps it constraints proportions. Now that's what all of these do. They all do the same thing. It's just a circular version, or one you can click which specific one. This, I prefer using this one where I can just drag and select a specific area. This is your magic wand, which does this but only selects a specific part in the drawing. I'm drawing a different layer. Like I click one of the balls and only select a specific part of the ball that it can pick up. This is for, I guess, for eyedropper, but I won't get into these because I'm not really sure exactly what they do. It's your zoom tool. You can zoom in with this. Zoom out, not too sure, but I use Control minus and Control plus, where you can find on your keyboard. Usually they would be next to backspace on your left side. Now we get into shortcuts, which is pretty much the fun part, because I only really have one set, but again, I have an Adobe brain, so in my head I remember Photoshop, so I'm not 100% sure where these were. Okay, sorry. You would go to settings, I assume so. Then you would go to configure Krita. Here you'd find keyboard shortcuts, but you can also change all these other settings like color management on your display. I'm not going to change any of these because again, not sure what they do. If you have a tablet plugged in, you can figure out how you do with different tablets. I do have a screen tablet and a non-screen tablet if one would like a tutorial on how each works. And you can change how much memory is allocated to the program. I would just leave this as is. Unless there's too little and you want more, you can adjust it, but I'm just going to leave it as is. Now, keyboard shortcuts. Just to make sure, these can have the tool icon or crosshair, black pixel. I just have as no cursor. I just have it as default. These are all default things. I leave it as is. Nothing, but you can customize to your heart's content. Keyboard shortcuts, again, these are all the shortcuts that I made in it, if I remember correctly. But I look for specific, I specifically wanted flip canvas, but I don't think that's what's here. So essentially we flip it horizontal. So yeah, here, all layers horizontally. So I would search horizontal and then go to layers and then create a shortcut for it, and I'd say I changed it, I click there. It's on default by default, and it's on none. I would click custom, click there, and then press whatever input I want and leave it, and that's it. I'm done. I say okay. It's probably gonna pop up with a message saying something. I'm gonna check just for the sake of this video what it would say if I were to click this horizontal again. Mirror layer horizontally. Let's say go to custom. I'm gonna make it up, and it's gonna pop up with this. The up shortcut is ambiguous with the following shortcut. Just say reassign and say okay. So now it flips this one layer specifically horizontally, or whatever I have selected horizontally. And then there you go. Now if you want to, this, I'm not really sure. Actually, I think I had to set this. Let me just make triple sure, because I deselect. I think I set this up, I'm not sure. But deselect would be, you go to you'd search deselect, which is this, and then you'd say, I set it as Control D, like my other Adobe programs, and you'd say Control D, and that'll be gone. Now that's all done, we can now show you all the filters I use. Which is, it's not really filters, but I go to tools. I'm sorry, filters. It is a filter. I go to adjust, and here's all your adjusting settings. But I mostly use HSV adjustment. These, you can also mess around with some of these if you're interested, but I'll get to them as I'll get to, well, the one I use mostly. There's also artistic. If I want to use halftones, you can have set as a halftone layer, and all these extra things that I actually don't use. Blur, I usually use Gaussian blur or lens blur, motion blur or blur. It's up to you if you would like to use those. Now colors and these other things I don't really use at all. These are all things I use in another program that I'll make for another video. So in adjustment, we'd go to HSV adjustment, and here is where I change all the colors and all the things in my videos. So this is your color spectrum. It's in the middle by default. It doesn't mean that's the color, that's just like the middle, I guess, most color that it is, but not actually. So if you go to red, it won't change to red because the color is blue. For some reason, I don't know how to explain that part. The hue is blue. Someone knows exactly what the hue and stuff means. I'm not sure. That's not what they taught us in our course. So you can move the slider left or right, and it changes the colors for the layer that you're on. The layer specifically that you're on, because you see this red is on a different layer. That color won't change. So we're now going to change everything to some other random color. Now, the saturation would be to increase the color, I guess, of the specific the specific layer that you're on, because like saturation also makes sure that it's like grayscale or very saturated, but we're not going to have it at very high saturation. We'll change the color though, just for the fun of it. Now lightness, this changes how bright the image is or how dark the image is. So it can go to pure black or just pure white. I'm going to reset everything for the sake of that, but change the color again. And that's pretty much everything that I use here. That's everything I use there, 100%. And if I go back to tools, no filter, click adjust. What else do I use? Nothing specific here. I'd go to artistic and use halftone. If you want halftone like in manga, or Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, you'd go here and add them. But of course, if you want it to be on the layer, you'd make a new layer. No, you duplicate it, sorry. You duplicate a layer with this double block here. And then you'd go over there, you press tools, filter adjustment. I'm going to make the same mistake. Artistic halftone. I'm going to say okay. Now, this is another fun thing, something I can teach you as well, is that when you click here where it says normal, this changes your blending modes. These I don't really mess around with, but I mess around with all these ones. So usually most artists would use multiply when they're trying to change the color when they're rendering over skin. So, but I would just use it to go over a specific layer. Oh, my bad. So there you go. There's multiply on this layer, but you can also mess around. This is just a messing around game to see what you like best. But multiply would be your best. Either multiply or where is it? Overlay. Those would be your best bets. So I either use those two for specific things. If you want to do like fancy other stuff, I do use divide, but since it's black, nothing will really change. But if I go to orange, that's not erase. Yeah, let's see. Let's make a new layer. And make it divide. See if I write with orange. Which I should be. I'm confused by what's going on here. It's not divide, is it a different color? No, it should be divide. Yeah, I'm confused. Okay, let's make a normal color then. Or is it just my pen that's not drawing? I wouldn't be surprised. Something is going on because the colors are there. Which is strange, sorry. I am drawing with white. Sorry. I am drawing with white. Okay, so there we go. We've got the color there. And we'd take this layer and write with orange, for example. It would just make it lighter with blue. But if you go to blue, again, it depends on how the color. It does the opposite. That's what I thought it did. Is that a specific one? It's not color dodge. It's not color dodge. But again, this is just messing around. I can't remember them all off by heart. But I mostly use overlay and multiply. I can't remember them all off by heart. But that's what we do when we mess around with these things. And that's what they do. So there you go with all that. And I did promise that I was also going to show you how to use groups. So you can also press hold Control and click all of them individually. So I'm going to click all these that I painted up and say Control G. And it all groups them up in a singular group. So now there we go. On a group, we can name it Group 1. I don't know why I changed Group 5. And there you go. That's everything grouped up in one thing. You can switch it off and switch it on. Look at you working. Your background also, by the way, it's also a nice important thing. So now we can switch this off and start again. With your background, it's just there by default. You can unlock it. There's these things on the side where this would be, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 0 alpha. Doesn't really say. Yeah, alpha locked. So no, which one is alpha lock? Yeah, the back one is alpha lock. This one is inherent lock. Inherit lock. I don't know what inherit lock does. I thought it was what alpha lock does because it looks like an A, but I guess that's not what it is. So now what alpha lock does is that if I draw something, I'm gonna make it really big. If I draw something like this and I click alpha lock, I can then change the color. And if I draw it here, nothing happens. Apologies. But if I draw around it, there you go. It draws inside what you've already drawn. Now, this is kind of counterintuitive because usually you'd have a clipping layer where this happens. So what you can do is that you can duplicate the layer and then just color it like that. Any way you want. And if it doesn't look nice to you, since you did create a separate layer, you could just switch it off and on now. And I guess there you go. These are all the basics that I use. If you're really interested in other things, I would show you full length video where I do go through everything. I think that's more for like a stream, to be honest, because I'm not really sure with how everything else goes. I have used paint, by the way. This looks really nice. This is a brush I would use. Something you'd see in like Sam Does Art stuff. It's amazing. But again, this is something where you can just mess around and you can find your own style with this. But this all looks really nice. And everything can be messed around with, and you can find your own way of making art. Hopefully with the things that I've taught you. Hoping that I've taught something. Because sometimes it feels like it's just gibberish going around. Honestly. I'm actually just surprised at how everything just looks. Krita really has a lot of things that I haven't truly explored. All these, I have used the stars before. I'm gonna change that to like stars. There we go. And hearts. So there are also these, but if you do want the better like effects and stuff, you can get like chains and stuff. I would recommend you get Clip Studio Paint, but that is paid. I do use another program at the bottom, MIDI Bang. This is Eceprite I use for pixel art, and OMORI obviously use for editing. And over here I use Photoscape X for photo editing. I do use Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator, but obviously they're paid. It's mostly for my course, so I don't really use them much other than for my course. But yeah, I've been admin for a long time. I just hope that this video helped you in some way or another, and hopefully if you want anything else, I can help you with that. Just put a comment and I will message you. I will reply to your comment. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.